We wanted to do something special for the engagement ring that tells our story.
What's up, guys? This is Jesse at Jeweler's Advantage, and in this video, we are going to talk about the future of engagement rings and how we can transition to selling true love instead of just a commodity. So let's get into it. We're talking about lab diamonds. Now, lab diamonds in the jewelry industry right now are subject to some very fair criticism. So let's go through a few of those, because if you are a jeweler that is going to be selling engagement rings into the future, this is going to be important to address because, of course, lab diamonds are not going away. Weddings are not going away, but natural diamonds are certainly changing their relationship with the rest of the jewelry industry. And the biggest opportunity in the engagement market is going to be mass market lab diamond engagement rings. So let's address some of the criticisms. You'll hear people say that lab diamonds have no resale value and the prices keep dropping. And that is a very fair criticism. A lab diamond is not a commodity investment. The reason that people are getting lab diamonds for engagement is because it's a beautiful looking stone for social media, and it's more of a social status investment now rather than a commodity investment. With that in mind, it's not rare. It has no soul like a natural. Okay, so when it comes to rarity, of course, a lab diamond is not rare, and that's what makes it not a commodity investment. But it is a matter of opinion to say that a natural diamond has a soul. That's not a logical sales argument, that's an emotional one. So how can we bring a soul into a product even if it is a lab-created gemstone? We'll get there in a moment. Another criticism is people look down on lab. It's like CZ. And because natural diamonds have been so attached to social status in the past, that is something that can't be separated from the culture of engagement rings now, even if they are lab diamonds. So it is a very real concern that somebody may be considering the social status implications of having a lab-grown gemstone as their engagement ring. We'll get there also. Another criticism is it really better ethically or environmentally? I'm skeptical. Don't greenwash me on these lab diamonds. That's a fair criticism. The factories that create lab diamonds do use a lot of energy, and although there are certain phenomena like Jevons paradox, which means that as we adopt the technology, it will become more efficient and cheaper to produce, where we're at today is that lab diamonds are still not necessarily a green option, although as the manufacturers continue to improve, it's reasonable to assume that lab diamonds will become much more environmentally friendly and ethical because it completely reduces the chance of things like child labor. So that is a very fair benefit to keep an eye on for lab diamonds in the future, but it is still kind of a hazy argument while we transition to a version of the industry that is less dependent on mining. And then the final big criticism would be jewelers don't support lab for upgrades or trade-ins, and that definitely tracks back to the no resale value. And that's among the most fair criticism for lab diamonds, just because a diamond is forever is what built this industry, and the idea that a diamond engagement ring could be coupled with the idea of the family jewels and consolidating some wealth into an asset that you can hold on to was very important in the past, but we also now live in the world of the internet, and there's things like crypto and all manner of collectibles that people can get interested in. So the importance of a gemstone as an investment in cultures across the world is declining. So that's something to keep in mind. With all of these criticisms in mind, I had a question that I wanted to answer, and that was, how can we use AI for product development to create a new version of a diamond is forever? As we all know, De Beers created the most successful marketing campaign of all time with a diamond is forever, and that sustained the entire industry. All family jewelry stores in the United States and every other developed country that has a family jeweler in the local area is built on the cultural belief that a diamond is forever. But of course, with the disruption of lab diamonds, this is going away. This no longer holds true. So I wanted to figure out, how could we use lab diamonds as a vehicle to capture emotion and still sell the craftsmanship and the story that jewelry has been used as a medium for in the past creatively, while adjusting some aspects of the frame of perception for the customer in engagement rings, which is what would give value to the product. So my question was, how could we start engineering a new product that could be the new engagement ring that captures the emotion and the tradition of weddings and engagement and the fantasy of this in the heart and mind of the customer, but distill that into a lab-created gemstone? So I came over to MasterJeweler AI and I started with this prompt, a nice basic one. We are designing a special gemstone. It's going to be a large emerald cut diamond with an engraving of an image on the back side so we can look into the gemstone and see the image. Do you understand what we're working on? What I was thinking here was, how can we use the gemstone itself as a vehicle for design? How can we use the gemstone as a vehicle for craftsmanship? And I thought about laser engravings and the types of memorial pieces that can be created with a laser engraving, which many jewelers have access to. And I wanted to bring that to life in a lab-created gem. So you can already see where I'm going with this. I wanted to have gemstone artistry. I knew that we were going to be using laser micro engraving and symbolic storytelling. So the core concept here is, how can we have an optical image in gem effect, almost like the gemstone itself is a frame? How would we actually do this? So AI, can you give me production and technical notes, and can you help me out with some creative direction? And then from there, it was pretty self-explanatory. I just wanted to create some images. So I said we were going to create a series of these. So here you can see I'm guiding the AI to help me create images, and I just wanted to make sure that it understood the project. And from there, it gave me almost exactly what I was looking for. I just wanted to see a portrait of a bride and groom within a gemstone. As you can see here, this could be somebody's grandparents. But if it's a modern wedding, what if somebody wants to capture the nostalgia of a wedding photo that reminds them of their grandparents? Of course, using AI and the advanced tools that we have now, you could easily take a portrait of any couple and imagine them in a more nostalgic setting like this gemstone. But I wanted to go beyond this because I thought that this idea could actually be limitless across cultures, across all markets the world over. So what if it was a traditional Indian wedding? Of course, in India, the color saffron has major significance. So maybe this would be a great way to tell the story of that wedding day in a world where natural gemstones, which are very important to the culture of India, have reduced importance in a world where we can create them in a lab facility. So this might be a great way to tell the story of a traditional wedding in India. Maybe we're in China, where the color red is very significant. So you can see that maybe through color, or maybe through the actual clothing the people are wearing in the picture of their portrait on their engagement ring, there's ways to tie in the culture and make it a very personalized story for the customer to tell their story, to anchor their emotion and their feeling into the product, which is really what these engagement rings are supposed to be anyway. Maybe we're in Africa having a traditional wedding in Nigeria. Again, that can be reflected through the color of the gemstone or the attire of the people in the portrait. There's an infinite number of stories that we could tell here. Maybe it's a same-sex couple and these women are planning a destination wedding to go back to Hawaii, where maybe this young woman is from, and they're going to plan their destination wedding and have a beautiful Hawaiian wedding and then tell the story of that gemstone. That would be a way that somebody giving the engagement ring could future frame the day that is distilled into the ring itself, that then after creating that day becomes a beautiful memory for them that is always on the wearer of the ring. Or maybe it would be a way to capture the personalities of the people in the ring. Maybe these guys have inside jokes, or they're really funny, or they have big personalities, don't take things too seriously, and they wanted that story to be told in the ring. So it's endless. People from all walks of life, all cultures, all stories, all personality types, everything you could imagine from the style to the symbolism can be present in a ring like this. So this is just one idea, but let's examine it a little bit further, because product development is about more than just pretty pictures. So let's examine why this anchors emotion and differentiates you if you're a jeweler. Well, it could be like a time capsule. There's actual real intimacy in the product. There's real legacy in the product. It's not just a commodity. It's something that's telling a story and showing the story of two real people that made a real commitment to one another. The way that we can reframe no resale value is that there are calm, logical ways to make this work with your company policy, with your jewelry brand. Customs are not commodities. This is full custom labor and it can't be returned. So then from a commodity perspective, this becomes heirloom value. Maybe later on when these gemstones are handed down, they become a pendant for one of their kids or one of the grandkids or something along those lines. There's real heirloom potential here because you're capturing a memory that transcends the value of the commodity. You can't really put a price on memories from the people that you love. The material logic is that the Mohs hardness scale justifies the stone choice. So if you're going to laser engrave something into a ring that somebody can wear for the rest of their life, it can probably only be a couple of different types of stones. Of course, a lab diamond has a lot of utility because of its Mohs rating of 10. Same thing with a sapphire at a Mohs rating of 9. These are extremely durable stones, and then that starts becoming an aspect of the material specs side of your design philosophy. You want the material specs to be the underpinning logic of why there's value in the product, but really you're selling the emotional side to get the customer's buy-in. In this case, we're using lab gemstones that are going to be better suited for a piece like this than a natural gemstone would be. You would never do this with a natural sapphire or a natural diamond because of the inclusions. In this case, because it's a lab-created stone, it's actually better suited for this type of memorial legacy piece in an engagement ring. So you can run this idea through MasterJeweler AI yourself and see what you get in terms of knowing how to handle objections in the future or understand what customers could be thinking in the future. But let's get back to the criticisms of lab diamonds and see exactly how this type of product could address those from a sales perspective and delivering value to the customer. If we're talking about people saying that the lab diamond is going to have no resale value, we can say this isn't a commodity, it's a personal artifact. Obviously, it's super personalized and is acting like a time capsule to capture the story of these people making this commitment to one another. If we're talking about this not being a rare stone, this type of product would transcend the commodity value of the stone. It's that the rarity becomes authored, not mined. Remember, if you have something with real sentimental value attached to it, you can't really assign a price tag to that anymore. But you can assign a price to the specialized labor and skill it takes to bring that ring into reality. In that regard, we're elevating the craft. This is no longer a stone with a diminished perception. We're actually making a very calculated choice as to why we're using a lab-created gemstone, because we need a material that's going to be hard enough to last the test of time and create an immortalized image of this love. So from an engineering perspective, we are absolutely elevating the craft here. When it comes to greenwashing, we don't even need to really lean into the eco-friendly aspect of lab diamonds. I know that eventually that will probably come to a head where that argument can really be made soundly, but here it's not even really relevant because you're selling the emotion, you're selling the sentimentality. It just happens to be that we're using this material because it's the absolute best material that we could choose to immortalize this portrait in an engagement ring. And then when it comes to the very fair criticism around jewelers and upgrades, this product actually could have some flexibility that you could build into it. The portrait itself is an asset, so that could be used for upselling, cross-selling, downselling later on, maybe into other pieces with an engraving. Maybe it's not even a gemstone piece, because of course you could engrave this portrait into metals on all manner of objects and pieces as well. So the big idea here is that we are transitioning away from a diamond is forever because the commodity value of the stone can no longer be justified as an investment, and we're moving towards a more emotionally anchored sales argument for engagement rings if you happen to go down the road with this particular idea. So just remember that true love is forever. We're here to sell a connection, not a commodity. And if you can take that idea to heart, you can download MasterJeweler AI for free at jewelersadvantage.com and adapt that idea into all manner of jewelry products and all manner of different style segments beyond just engagement. So this is Jesse here at Jewelers Advantage. We hope you enjoyed this lesson. Check out the link below if you'd like to learn more in AI for jewelers, and check out jewelersadvantage.com to download MasterJeweler AI for free, and we'll see you in the next one.